Since the launch of its Belt and Road Initiative, China has been seeking to unlock opportunities for collaborating with its former Cold War comrade. But despite an urgent need to plug its $100 billion infrastructure gap, growing nationalistic sentiments prevent Vietnam from fully embracing China's new Silk Road. And over in Laos, joint projects ranging from malls to a mega railway are helping shape the country into ASEAN's next investment hotspot. But with the threat of a debt trap rising, will its increasing reliance on China ultimately become boon or bane for landlocked Laos? One country is seeking to mature its economy. Another is on the cusp of something big. Both share a neighbor who is promising support in exchange for a slice of their economic pie. Can the new Silk Road truly create a win-win situation for Vietnam, Laos, and China? This is Lao Cai, a province in Vietnam's northwest. It's famous for its rice terraces and lush green mountains, which are among the tallest in the region. But I'm not here just for the scenery. My journey to explore China's new Silk Road has brought me to the capital of this picturesque province, which shares a border with Hekou, an autonomous county in China's Yunnan province. I've been greeted with wet weather upon arriving here, but for the people of Lao Cai province, their rainy days are now far behind them, thanks to China. And this is why. Over the past few years, Lao Cai has been at the forefront of Vietnam's trade with China. The border between Lao Cai and Hekou, which means river mouth in Mandarin, is located right at the convergence between Vietnam's Red River and China's Yangtze River. And every day, vast numbers of goods are transported over these rivers via 3 different border crossings: by rail and by road. But those without the luxury of wheels have a different border crossing experience, one that's a little more hectic. I mean, it is literally a race across to China, and it happens every day. Look at them go! Carrying whatever they can in their baskets and trolleys, sometimes a little too much. These farmers and vendors from the nearby Vietnamese hillsides are all competing to be the first to reach the local Hekou markets, where spots to sell their goods are not fixed, but grabbed based on a first-come, first-served basis. It's a dash, because those who arrive late to the Chinese markets probably won't be able to sell all their goods, and they'll be making that return trip back with full baskets and empty wallets. And that is a walk of shame no one wants to make. 45-year-old vegetable seller Xiang takes part in this mad rush every morning. While the border gate opens at 7 a.m. every day, his day begins 3 hours earlier at the Lao Cai wholesale market. Here, he and his wife spend more than an hour picking the freshest produce, which they will later carry across to Hekou. But I wonder if the payoff from his tedious daily routine is really worth it. Has your standard of living improved since doing trade with China?
Nhưng mà đi buôn bán Trung Quốc thì cuộc sống thì thiệt nông dây ăn học, con này vẫn tập ổn đồ ăn, không đầy dành được.
Chiang makes double selling vegetables in China compared to what he would make selling them locally. He bought a motorcycle just for the job. But before he can sell anything, he, along with hundreds of others, have to first cross the border. The immigration clearance is a fuss-free affair, made all the more pleasant by a very welcoming vibe.
Cái này em đưa dễ dàng thôi, mình làm cái hộ chiếu này về đóng dấu Việt đi thôi.
The easy crossing is telling of how close these two countries have become. Imports and exports via Laos totaled 1.6 billion US dollars just in the first half of 2018. And during those same 6 months, the export of agricultural and seafood products from Laos to China raked in more than $300 million in revenue for the city. But while the people of Laos have certainly profited from cushy relations with China in the present, you do wonder if their past ever gets in the way of their furthering this newfound friendship. I'm in the mountains overlooking Lao Cai province. In 1979, this valley was a battleground, the site of one of the fiercest fights between Vietnamese and Chinese soldiers in the month-long Sino-Vietnamese War. The border war was triggered by Vietnam's invasion of Cambodia, which was then under the rule of the China-backed Khmer Rouge. In 17 days of bloody fighting, thousands of Vietnamese died. Now, nearly 40 years on, I'm wondering if the folks from this very community, caught in the epicenter of that conflict, have managed to move on.
I'm Anthony, good to meet you. Oh, over here? Okay, thank you.
31-year-old Thai runs the most popular restaurant in Lao Cai. He was born 8 years after the conflict, but vaguely recalls stories his parents told him about that dark episode in Vietnam's history.
Trong cái tuổi thơ của mình ấy, bây giờ ấy, thì bố mẹ thỉnh thoảng vẫn kể về những cuộc chiến tranh mà biên giới giữa Trung Quốc và Việt Nam, thì mình chỉ nhớ được đó là người Trung Quốc tràn sang và người Việt Nam đã đánh bại họ. Còn ngoài ra thì những chi tiết thì mình cũng không được nắm rõ lắm.
Today, Thai and his family have not only moved on from the war, they welcome the Chinese, who spend as much as $120,000 US dollars every month at his restaurant. Nearly half of their customers are Chinese nationals who regularly cross the border for the fresh seafood Lao Cai is famous for.
Bố mẹ tôi rất là khó khăn, đã trải qua cuộc chiến tranh rồi, nên là chúng tôi muốn là hai bên có mối quan hệ tốt để chúng tôi có cái điều kiện để giao thương, để làm ăn, để phát triển, để thế hệ trẻ của tôi có cuộc sống tốt hơn.
You interact with Chinese visitors at your restaurant quite a lot. What impression do you have of the Chinese?
Ấn tượng của mình về du khách Trung Quốc thì họ cũng rất là thân thiện, cũng giống người Việt. Cũng có một số thành phần thì cũng không lịch sự nhưng mà rất là ít. Và người Trung Quốc ấy thì họ thường là ăn uống tương đối nhiều, cho nên là làm cho cái doanh thu của quán thì cũng tốt.
But outside Lao Cai, the mood may be a little less conciliatory. What happened in 1979 remains fresh in the minds of Vietnamese across the country. Some groups have even resorted to using 1979 as a linchpin to stir up tensions surrounding the two countries' territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Most recently, in June 2018, plans to build 3 new special economic zones and a bill proposing new lease terms for foreign firms sparked fresh protests. Under new laws, foreign investors can now lease land in industrial parks like these for up to 99 years, so longer than the terms before, which was 70 years. And that is worrying many Vietnamese, who fear the government's relations with China are a little too cozy, and worse, that they might have already given the mighty Chinese a little too much game in their own economy. Economist Dr. Vo Tri Tan feels that the worries and fears on the ground are still a little too premature because the draft laws would have to go through many rounds of debates and deliberations before anyone decides to pass them.
You need to go through very rigorous procedure, and at the end, you need to decision by the Prime Minister. Many kind of dimension we think about, right? Liberalization, right? In terms of incentive for the business, for the investment. So right now, a lot of debate in Vietnam, right? Whether we need to that kind of economic expansion zone, right? Because Vietnam already very open.
Whatever the outcome of the bill, it's unlikely that Chinese investors will be perturbed by the recent developments. For many Chinese companies, Vietnam offers cheaper labor and a relatively young population, with workers below the age of 35 dominating the assembly lines. All this, coupled with access to the broader ASEAN market, is what attracted Vina Solar, a leading producer in solar panels, to set up its manufacturing operations here. By utilizing cutting-edge robotic technology to produce high-quality solar panels, Vina is seeking to promote the use of Chinese solar technology among the Vietnamese community. The majority of people in Vietnam and across Southeast Asia can't really afford to install solar panels in their homes. So who are your main customers then?
我们如果能够提供更便宜的、更好的太能的产品，让他们能够在自己家里面安装以后能得到实惠，这是所有人都能希望能够获得的。而且在越南南部的光照好的地区，已经出现我们用我们的产品来帮他们解决电力供应的问题。 对家庭的收入的投资收益会达到20%。
There's been a rise in anti-Chinese sentiment in Vietnam recently, and in the past, protesters have attacked factories and companies. How concerned are you about this?
现在，这是6月10号的我们对员工一个统计，其中80%的员工是反对这次游行骚乱的，另外20%的员工。 是他们主动提出来，如果骚乱影响我们企业，他们会全力的保护我们的企业，因为我们企业的这4年的发展，让他们的工资收入比当时高了2到3倍，而且他们感觉到中国企业过来是真心对他们好，是帮助他们共同提高生活品质。
From creating jobs to cross-border trade, the benefits of collaborating with the Chinese are being appreciated by locals across the country. But a vast majority of the population have mixed feelings about China's New Silk Road plan and are instead pushing for stronger ties with Vietnam's former enemy. I'm in Vietnam, one of ASEAN's most dynamic economies and one of 2 communist countries in the Southeast Asian region. And Vietnam's embrace of its communist identity is hard to miss. Socialist posters like this one can be found in public spaces across the country. The national flag bears a variation of the iconic star, a universally recognized symbol of communism. There's even a park dedicated to Vladimir Lenin in the heart of Hanoi. You'd expect China and Vietnam's shared communist ideologies to smooth out the rough patches they've had in the past, like the 1979 border war and the ongoing territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Or maybe not, because both countries might still be reconciling their checkered history. And that's despite being comrades in arms during Vietnam's most famous war. Ironically, many Vietnamese still appear to be more forgiving towards the Americans whom they spent 20 years fighting than the Chinese who invaded the country in 1979. In fact, a recent survey found that 84% of Vietnamese viewed the United States favorably, compared to 10% who expressed positive attitudes towards China. But the reality is, in recent years, it has been the Chinese, not the Americans, that have been helping Vietnam develop some of its most critical infrastructure. The Vietnamese government continues to be caught in a tough balancing act. While it recognizes the people's attitudes towards China, it also needs to raise more than $100 billion worth of investment to meet the country's infrastructure needs. And China's extensive Belt and Road Initiative offers many opportunities for Vietnam to fill this wide infrastructure gap. A case in point is the Cat Linh Ha Dong urban railway line in Hanoi, for which China provided more than $300 million in loans. It also supplied the manpower and technology that was used in the railway's construction.
One man, one road can have positive contribution to infrastructure development in Vietnam. So far, you can observe the tariff reduction very significantly. Even we have, in the region, many FTA, free trade areas. So tariff is no more problem. So how you can facilitate trade, investment, and business. So connectivity, infrastructure development is important.
In principle, Vietnam has already committed to participating in China's Belt and Road Initiative. Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Vietnam in November 2017 saw the signing of an MOU in which both China and Vietnam pledged to implement the Belt and Road Initiative. But the question on many observers' minds is whether the recent MOU would lead to any further substantial collaborations.
So far, not any project come from that initiative of VOR, or not like many other countries, they already have some disbursement from AIIB. I think that because of two reasons. Number one, Vietnam in the process of development, and we amend the infrastructure development strategy.
Since the launch of the One Belt, One Road plan, China has repeatedly emphasized that the initiative is not just about investing in infrastructure. It also hopes to use the New Silk Road to promote cultural exchanges between the Chinese and communities around the world. In line with this goal, Beijing co-sponsored the construction of this state-of-the-art building. The China-Vietnam Friendship Palace was officially opened by Chinese President Xi Jinping himself in November 2017. This massive mural is what greets you when you enter the palace, and it depicts a very vibrant cultural exchange between the two countries, China and Vietnam, and it showcases the various ethnic groups' cultural performances. And it really encapsulates what both governments seek to achieve with this venue. The $35 million building is decked out with the most modern equipment and facilities. It has everything you'd need to hold meetings, dialogues, and parties between the two sides. But since it opened about a year ago, there hasn't been any of that happening just yet. Don Tuan Phong is the vice president of the Vietnam Union of Friendship Organizations, the institution which runs the place.
At the moment, the palace is not under full operation as some of the technical checkups, adjustments have to be made. But activities like cultural events, performances, exhibitions, language classes, traditional medicine, receiving visitors from Vietnam and China. Those kind of activities will happen.
At a time when there might be certain strong feelings towards China in the region, how important is it for organizations like you to kind of create a bridge between, let's say, Vietnam and China?
The attitude of Vietnam is to work together to address issues. And with disputes over the islands that belong to Vietnam, we are determined to continue working with other countries, especially China, to address according to international laws and by peaceful means, through diplomatic channels. We think peace is key to development and prosperity.
While we wait for the China-Vietnam Friendship Palace to officially open, locals elsewhere in Hanoi have already taken it upon themselves to promote Chinese cultural activities in their community. Take Hai, for example. He's a former national athlete who was sent by the Vietnamese government to China to learn wushu. When he returned, he set up this Tai Chi club in Hanoi. Now, he's imparting those same values and philosophies he learnt about the art form to his students.
Nó dựa trên một cái nền tảng là cái triết lý của âm dương ngũ hành. Đó chính là cái rất là đặc thù và rất là mang tính triết lý dành cho người tập. Thì nó hướng tới thái cực quyền là sự hài hòa, sự cân bằng của bản thân và cân bằng với cả các mối quan hệ.
Do you think that cultural activities like Tai Chi may be a solution towards building bridges between the two countries?
Tôi nghĩ là tất cả các hoạt động nào mà nó giúp ích cho con người thì nó đều giúp ích tốt đẹp cho các mối quan hệ của các con người nói chung. Và giữa các quốc gia thì nó đều rất tốt đẹp nếu mà có những cái mối quan hệ tốt, có những cái hình thức giao lưu tốt.
The key to mastering Tai Chi is finding your balance. Thank you. And that's something Vietnam's government is struggling to do as it seeks new opportunities for collaborating with China, while at the same time being careful that it doesn't alienate itself from its public amidst a growing protest culture. But stories like that of Hai's do offer some hope. It's an example of meaningful people-to-people exchanges, which is a key pillar of the Belt and Road Initiative. Progress on that front is already in high gear across the border in Laos. where Chinese and Laotians now collaborate in many industries, from construction to film production. The Chinese might be winning Lao hearts and minds in the process, but can their money help Laos where it matters most? To fulfill the landlocked country's ambitions to be ASEAN's next investment hotspot. I'm on the final leg of my journey along China's New Silk Road in Indochina. And today, my travels have brought me to Vientiane, the capital of Laos. But before I begin my journey exploring China's growing footprint in the country, I'm going to take a slight detour to check out a prominent Vientiane icon. It's the first stop for any tourist coming into the city and the most important national monument in town, the Battousai. Laos' Arc de Triomphe, as tour guides call it, seems to be iconic and ironic. Fashioned after the one in Paris, the Battousai is a tribute to Laos soldiers who bravely fought and died during the country's struggle for independence against the French. French and Indo-Chinese influences inspire its design, and the cement that was used to build it all was donated by the United States. The Americans thought it would be used to build an airport. Laotians would have an arc instead. The city's older residents call this a vertical runway. Just nearby, another monument has a less complicated context. I'm not only interested in Battousai, but also what's next to it. Here's a water fountain donated by the Chinese government, a symbol of Chinese friendship right in the heart of Laotian history, a sign of the deep ties that the two countries share. Nearly 15 years since the fountain's installation, the relationship between Beijing and its southern neighbor is stronger than ever because of what's happening elsewhere in the country. There's a constant flow of Chinese money into Laos, and that's slowly turning this developing country into an investment hub. China has invested in everything, from hospitals, satellite internet and television, to shopping malls. And when it comes to malls, Vientiane Center, built 2 years ago, is currently the newest and biggest in the country. It's 5 hectares of anything a Vientiane city slicker might ever need, including a Singaporean-style food court dominated by Chinese food stalls. This mall is actually pretty small compared to malls in other capital cities across ASEAN, like Bangkok, for example. However, I must say that this mall looks pretty sleek and modern. And as the first fully air-conditioned retail and entertainment hub in the city, it fills a critical void in Laos society, especially for its youth. That's if they can afford any of this. The average Laotian earns just a little more than $200 a month. What this new mall is really selling is a new middle-class lifestyle that's very aspirational and very exciting. And I wonder if those aspirations are within the reach of most locals. I'm meeting Miao Zhengwu. He's the general manager of North Nongchan Development, the mall's parent company. As the manager of this mall, what has your observation been? Do you find that the typical Laotian customer or guest to the mall, are they able to afford the majority of products that you have for sale here?
Yes, I think the majority of our products, they affordable for them. Like for instance, for one noodle, one lunch, you can go like 20,000 gip. In US, it's around $2.50. It's affordable, and for the clothes, the price is around 100,000 kip. So in dollar, it's gonna be like 15, okay, 15 to $20. So it's not expensive.
In your opinion, would you describe the majority of your customers as mainly being maybe middle class?
I think yes, middle class, because before the mall opening, for the people who want to get middle class products, there's no place for them to shop in that. So they're gonna cross the border to Thailand.
Shopping wasn't the only attraction that drew Laotians to Thai malls. There was also this other fix. Laotians do love their movies, and with the opening of this cinema on the top floor of Vientiane Center, many have been spared the hassle of crossing the border to catch the latest Hollywood flicks. This 5-hall Cineplex boasts the most modern theater facilities in the country, and it's on par with any modern cinema in the region. This is easily the most popular place within the mall, especially among the youth.
ส่วนหลายประทับใจแม่นโรงหนังเพราะว่ามักจะใช้เวลากับโรงหนังหลาย
I'm told that in addition to local and Hollywood films, the cinema also screens Chinese movies, which have become very popular among the Laotians. But Laotians are not just watching on the big screen. They're also watching in the comfort of their homes. And it's not just movies, but Chinese TV dramas as well, which are a big hit in Laos. They're such a staple among Lao households that an entire industry has emerged, dedicated to converting them for audiences here. Sa Liang has one of the most famous voices in Laos. He's been the go-to dubbing artist for English movies for more than 40 years now. But these days, Sa Liang and his audio engineer are getting much more work coming from Chinese content. There's much more demand for them, thanks to TV platforms like Laosat, a Chinese-run satellite TV service based in Vientiane. Why do you think there's been such a strong demand for Chinese films and TV dramas among Lao audience?
เกี่ยวกับคำถามในรูปเงาจีนนี่เนาะซึ่งก็เป็นรูปเงาที่ว่าเป็นมีล้วนแล้วแต่เป็นรูปเงาที่มีกติเตือนใจเนาะเป็นรูปเงาที่ว่าส่องแสงถึงเกี่ยวกับฮิตของประเพณีวัฒนธรรมของชาวจีนเนาะแล้วก็คนลาวฉะนั้นคนลาวจึงเบิ่งรูปเงาจีนนี่ถือว่ามันวิถีชีวิตการดำรงชีวิตต่างๆมันก็คล้ายๆกับของอยู่ในลาวเฮาเนาะฉะนั้นจึงเฮ็ดให้คนลาวนิยมเบิ่งรูปเงาจีนเนาะ
In other countries, you might have audiences who are learning Korean to follow the Korean dramas, or they will watch the series in the original language, let's say like Chinese, and then have the subtitles in their own language. Why do you think that Laotians want to watch Chinese film and TV dramas dubbed in Lao?
ตามข้าพเจ้าคิดเนาะคนลาวเนี่ยเขาสิเว้าเฮ็ดเป็นซับไตเติ้ลภาษาลาวหั่นแต่คนลาวเขาบ่มักอ่านเนาะส่วนหลายเขามักจะเบิ่งแล้วก็มักฟังเนาะเดี๋ยวปัจจุบันนี้ก็ถือว่าเริ่มแล้วเนาะเริ่มเรียนภาษาจีนแล้วก็เริ่มเบิ่งรูปเงาของจีน
From malls, movies to manufacturing, China has pumped billions of dollars into Laos over the past 5 years, making it the largest foreign investor into the country. And much of this investment is concentrated in a multi-billion-dollar mega railway that will link Laos' major cities to China's Yunnan province. But will this mammoth project plunged the country into a debt trap. As a landlocked, largely mountainous country, with many in the population living in poverty, Laos has for years been perched high on the United Nations list of least developed countries. In an attempt to graduate from this list, the Lao government has sought billions of dollars in aid and infrastructure investment from China. This has helped Laos develop critical infrastructure and places it on track to become ASEAN's next investment hotspot. I visit a Belt and Road project that seeks to bring Laos closer to realizing this goal. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China has poured record amounts of capital into their less wealthy southern neighbor. One of their more prominent projects is this one, the Saiseta Development Zone, which was jointly set up by the Vientiane Municipal Government and the Yunnan Construction and Investment Holding Group. It's mostly a vast vacant plot now, with just over 40 factories. But once construction is complete, this 1,000-hectare plot will be more than your usual industrial park. There are already plans to build schools, hospitals, apartments, shopping centers, and even tourist attractions.
So what is this here? Yes.
Liu Hu is chairman of the Laos-China Joint Investment Company, the consortium responsible for developing this zone. He saw the strategic value in setting up a special development zone in Laos early on.
老挝是中南半岛上唯一一个跟中南半岛所有国家都接壤的国家。那么它可以就说通过自己的中心位置，把周边的国家都连接起来。这是它第一个区位上的优势。第二个，它资源上的优势，老挝具有各种各样很丰富的资源。那么第三一个的话呢，老挝政府现在的话呢是采取一个开放的政策，那么欢迎各个企业，全世界各个的企业都来到老挝投资。那么第四一个的话呢，老挝国家的话呢是一个非常稳定的国家。
What future plans does your company have for the Saiseta Development Zone?
我们会建设一个大型的农产品加工区，和今后3期的万象新城开发的话来把它做一个间隔。那么我们的目标的话呢，是在5到15年之内的话来打造一个现代、生态、绿色、宁静的万象新城。
It would take another 5 years for the Saiseta Development Zone to take shape. And while both the Lao and Chinese governments hope to draw on the success of the zone to elevate Laos' profile as an investment hub, they are faced with one critical challenge: Laos' own geography. With its majestic mountains and green valleys, through which flows the mighty Mekong River, Laos offers some of the most breathtaking views in Southeast Asia. But these natural wonders are also its greatest curse. The terrain makes travel across the country difficult, and that has long deterred investors. I visit the site of a $6 billion Chinese project which promises to help Laos solve this perennial problem. The key to the success of the Saiseta Development Zone is transforming Laos from a landlocked to a land-linked country. And here's how China is helping Laos achieve this. As you can see, construction is already underway in Luang Prabang for a 414-kilometer railway line linking China to mainland Southeast Asia. When completed, the railway has the potential to help Laos boost transshipment income by plugging the country into the broader Belt and Road network. This is just one of dozens of tunnels that are being built to allow trains to cut through Laos' numerous mountains. And they won't just be passing through mountains, but across rivers as well. Here in Luang Prabang, a massive bridge is being constructed over the Mekong River, which will eventually be linked to the tunnels. While I can certainly see how Laos stands to benefit from all this connectivity, I can't help but wonder about the impact of all this construction on this heritage town.
Oh, สบายดีบ่
สบายดี
สบายดีไหม
สบายดี
Chittapon is a staunch supporter of the project because of the hundreds of jobs it has created for the local community, including himself. He works for the Chinese Railway Construction Company as the captain of this barge. The barge transports trucks and construction supplies across the river every 30 minutes. Along with creating jobs, Chittapon's service also benefits his fellow villagers who travel on the barge for free.
ประชาชนก็ดีใจหลายที่เขาข้ามเหือใหญ่ก็บ่ได้เสียเงินเนาะแต่ข้ามเหือน้อยทุกคนต้องได้จ่ายเพราะว่าเหือน้อยเป็นเหือส่วนตัว
How has your life changed since taking on the job of piloting these barges?
คือว่าเฮาได้มาอยู่จุดนี้เฮากระซอกเวียกได้มาอยู่จุดนี้ที่ว่าก็เป็นการดีสำหรับตัวเฮาแต่ว่าประชาชนเขาเจ้าก็บ่ค่อยเว้าหยังแต่บ้านนี้เขาเจ้าก็ดีใจว่ามีโครงการมาตั้งอยู่บ้านเขาเจ้าอีกอย่างนึงมันก็ความสะดวกสบายไปมาหากันญาติพี่น้องอยู่บ้านใกล้เฮือนเคียงไปมามันก็สะดวกสบายมีรถไฟเนาะบางประเทศก็บ่ค่อยมี
While the mega railway is being celebrated by many in the local community, it has also attracted skepticism. The project is funded almost entirely by loans from China. And with the country's total public debt currently at 70% of its GDP, Laos is in critical danger of being set up for a debt trap with China. But Tanongsin Kanlia, who works in the Laos Chamber of Commerce, feels that the costs are justified in the name of progress.
You look into the long term, development. So we have moved from this landlock to landlink initiatives, and I think that as a way, although it's a big investments, but I think it's a way that can help. I don't think that it's just the only way, but it can be one of the options that can help. So I think connectivity is very important, and that's the reason maybe the government has decided to go, although it's very big project and it costs a lot of public debt.
In neighboring Vang Vieng, faith in the mega railway project is equally strong. There's a train stop planned for this riverside town, and that's raised optimism among the businesses here. Ever since construction began, many foreign investors have also set up shops and restaurants in anticipation of receiving more visitors and more business once the railway starts running. Tang Feng, a Chinese entrepreneur, was quick to jump on the bandwagon. He runs a tour agency specializing in outdoor activities, such as kayaking and buggy rides. Already, his business attracts close to 4,000 tourists a month. He believes this is nothing compared to the number of visitors who will flock here once the Belt and Road infrastructure projects are completed.
这个“一带一路”是中国政府制定的一个重大的项目，目的是为了推进东南亚国家共同发展和交通便利。我们肯定非常高兴，也很欢迎“一带一路”的项目在老挝开展。“一带一路”项目对我们的帮助和带来的好处、方便是非常非常大的，因为 “一带一路”首先铁路和高速公路一通之后，就有国内的中国的游客过来，或者是其他的国家到老挝来。
As the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I conclude my 6-country journey by exploring Vang Vieng the same way Tang's customers do.
All right, time to rock and roll.
This journey has certainly given me a lot to reflect on. I've seen firsthand how Chinese investment has improved the standards of living for many communities throughout the region. But I've also seen cases of how these success stories have come at a price for the locals. There are still challenges that states within ASEAN need to address eventually with China, despite how much Chinese investment is being celebrated. The new Silk Road offers many opportunities to collaborate, and I would like to see the spirit of cooperation continue to inspire solutions for overcoming the existing challenges. It's only then that China's growing footprint into ASEAN will not be met with fear, but a sense of hope.